is a kind of hurt that doesn't come from being abandoned. It comes from always being compared to someone else. Look at your brother and learn from him. Why can't you be like them, people your age already? It sounds like motivation, but what that child hears is a different message. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. Not just once, but over and over again. At the dinner table, in passing comments, in those subtle shakes of the head. No one says directly that you're lacking, but you can feel it. And the most dangerous part is not that you're being compared, it's that at some point you start comparing yourself. No one teaches you to do that, but you learn. Quickly, deeply. A normal child grows up asking, "Who am I?" But a child who is constantly compared grows up asking, "Am I good enough yet?" Not for themselves, but to avoid being replaced, to avoid disappointing others, to avoid being compared again. Do you remember that feeling when you did it right, but it wasn't good enough? When you tried your best, but still lost to someone else? When you hoped to be recognized, but what you got was, "It's okay, but not as good as others"? In that moment, something very small happens. No one can see it, but inside you, something begins to crack. You start doubting yourself, and from that point on, you don't live as yourself anymore. You live as a version of yourself being compared. You don't just do things, you measure yourself. You don't just exist, you evaluate yourself. You don't just feel, you check whether your feelings are valid. In the family, you become the good child, not because you want to, but because you understand. If you're not good enough, love might change. And there's something deeper that few people talk about. A child isn't just afraid of being criticized, they're afraid of losing connection, afraid that their parents' eyes won't soften anymore, afraid the voice won't sound as warm, afraid they won't be the proud child anymore. And to a child, losing connection feels like losing safety. So you start adjusting yourself. Not because you're fake, but because you're adapting. You speak less, you try harder, you don't cause trouble. You observe adults to know when to stay quiet. You learn a skill very early, how to be accepted. But what's the cost of that skill? You drift away from yourself. You become easy to love, well-behaved, likable. But deep inside, you're always afraid. If I am truly myself, will I still be loved? There's something few people realize. Comparison doesn't just create pressure, it creates a false belief. My worth depends on my position compared to others. And when that belief forms early, it doesn't disappear when you grow up. It just changes form. You step into society, you walk into a room, and within seconds, you rank yourself. Who's better? Who's more confident? Who stands out more? No one asks you to do this, but you still do it, automatically, unconsciously, because you've been programmed that way. You meet someone better, you don't learn from them, you shrink, not because you don't want to grow, but because you feel inferior, a familiar feeling, and a very uncomfortable one. You meet someone confident, you don't connect, you start doubting yourself. Do I have anything to say? Am I interesting enough? Am I losing? You see an opportunity, you don't take it, not because you lack ability, but because you've already compared yourself in your head and concluded, I'm probably not enough. You don't realize you've eliminated yourself before the game even begins. At work, you work very hard, even harder than others. But not because you love the work, because you're afraid. Afraid of falling behind, afraid of being judged, afraid of being exposed as not as good as people think. Sometimes you do well, very well, but you don't feel it. You only think, is anyone doing better than me? You double-check everything, you obsess over mistakes, not because you're a perfectionist, but because you're afraid of being compared again. Afraid of hearing that old sentence, it's okay, but you think, if I'm good enough, I'll finally feel okay. But no, you only feel more anxious, never enough, and one day you achieve what you once wanted, a better position, a higher salary, clear success. From the outside, everything looks enough. But your first feeling isn't happiness, it's what's next. Because in your internal system, your worth is never stored. It always has to be updated, always has to be proven again. In relationships, you love, but you hold back. You don't fully relax. You don't fully trust. Not because the other person isn't good, but because you're used to this idea love can be compared. replaced, measured. You try to be the best version of yourself. Not to be happy, but to not lose. You give a lot, but struggle to receive, because deep down you believe, if I receive, I must deserve it. And then you get tired, not because life is too hard, but because you've never truly rested. You're not just living your life, you're living under an invisible gaze, a gaze that keeps asking, am I enough yet? But pause for a moment. There is something important you need to hear. You are not wrong. And there's something else also very important. The people who compared you may not have realized what they were doing. They thought they were motivating you, pushing you, helping you not fall behind. But they didn't realize a child doesn't need comparison to grow. They need to be seen, recognized, accepted, loved, even when they're not the best. That is the lesson for parents. Don't turn love into a competition. Don't use others as a measuring stick. Don't say, you have to be like them. Ask instead, how do you feel? Are you happy? Who do you want to become? Because a child who is compared grows up with anxiety, but a child who is seen grows up with confidence. And if you are someone who grew up in comparison, this is what you need to know. You don't need to fix yourself to be enough. You need to relearn how to see yourself. You don't need to eliminate comparison completely. You just need to notice it. Next time you catch yourself comparing, don't fight it. Just say, this is an old pattern, then come back. Back to your feelings, back to what you want, back to your own rhythm. At first, it will feel strange. No scoreboard, no one to beat, no position to hold, just you. But if you stay there long enough, something will happen. Slowly, but truly, you will begin to feel enough. Not because you are better than others, but because you no longer need to be. You start doing things not to prove anything, but to experience. You start resting without guilt. You start existing without explanation. And one day, you walk into a room, and instead of asking, who's better than me, you simply think, I am here. One day, you will no longer feel the need to run, not because you stop, but because nothing is chasing you anymore. And then, the question inside you will change. No longer am I enough, but am I being myself? And for the first time, there is no winner, there is no loser, there is only you. And that feeling you used to search for outside was actually always within you. Peace.